Hello, it is day 1 of Tome Topple. Now, I have not officially started reading for Tome Topple because I'm still reading Bane by Claire Legrand. This is a tome, it's 600 pages, but I started it a few days ago. So as of this morning, I was 300 pages into it? Yeah, because I'm like 390 now because I've already read 90 pages. I'm hoping to read 150 pages minimum today and then finish the rest of it tomorrow. I'm trying to speed up my reading a bit. Well, not really speed it up, but just like read more in the day slightly more than I have been. I actually been reading this fairly quickly, honestly. I think I've been reading it for 3 days and I'm nearly 400 pages into it, so that's a pretty good clip. I am enjoying this. This is not a Tome Topple book I'm going to talk about because it is a tome. I'm not counting it for any challenges. And this one really didn't count for many challenges, so that's why I started to read this one before Tome Topple started, because I'm like, well, I want to read this book this month. I don't want to save it for Tome Topple because it doesn't really cover that much stuff. So yeah, I just kind of want to read, like, honestly, if I could read 4 tomes this month, 2 during Tome Topple and 2 outside of it, that would be bomb. I would love that. That's kind of what I'm going for this month. So this is so far so good. I'm not going to talk about like spoilers or anything, but the themes of this are definitely darker than the first book, so I'm enjoying that. There's a lot of things I'm enjoying about this, so we'll see how I feel. And even, I mean, I don't think I'll finish this today, but I feel like I'm going to get to a certain point, as you do in books, and just want to like keep reading it, so I'm pretty sure I'll finish this tomorrow. Then my priorities for Tome Topple are The Phoenix Empress by Kate Arsenault Rivera, which is the second book in The Tiger's Daughter that I've been putting off forever. Part of me wants to reread The Tiger's Daughter, but I remember, I think, most things that would be important. I'm hoping I can find like a recap or something, but I don't really want to reread that first book, even though I read it in like 2017, and I've probably forgotten a lot of key points. I don't know, but I definitely I want to get this done. So this will be the first thing that I pick up officially for Tome Topple when I'm done with Bane, because I've been putting this off for like so long. And then I'll finish up with The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, which I've also been putting off for quite some time. I've known I've needed to get to these. I mean, obviously I'm getting to everything before June, but yeah. So I've been spending a lot of my time in the last like week or so playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I don't tend to start playing that until like 8 o'clock at night. And then I play until I go to bed. But what I've been doing the last like 3 days or so is setting a timer for an hour, only playing for an hour, and then stopping to stretch and read. So I'll be doing that a lot more during Tome Topple, so that hopefully I can get through these things fairly quickly. So that is my plan. I'm not sure if I'll update any more today because I'll just be continuing with Bane. I'm gonna go take a walk with the dog because it's a pretty nice day out today. Although I've been having really sporadic temperatures, like yesterday it was in the 40s here in Illinois, Fahrenheit, and then today it's like 65, and I'm like, it is May, can we be in the 70s now, and can you stay there so we can have a spring? Because lately in most parts of the world that I've lived in, we don't get like all the seasons. I mean, in theory we do, but really it's like winter and summer, and that's it, because we go from it being cold to it suddenly being really hot. And I would really like a transition both ways. I would also like to go from, you know, it being really hot to cool to cold instead of hot to cold in the fall. So global warming, climate change, love it. Hello, same spot as last time I just realized, but whatever, I don't really feel like moving. It is now day 3 of the Readathon. It is Monday. And last night I finished Bane by Claire Legrand, which I mentioned I was reading not for the Readathon, but it is a tome. So yeah, I finished that last night because I wanted to get it done by yesterday, so I did do that. And I will have a review coming up for that. It shouldn't be posted quite yet, but it's gonna come up. I have a lot of books that I really want to do individual reviews for, but I know they don't get as many views, but I don't really do videos for the views, but it's like, it's hard to put in time into a thing and then not necessarily get engagement on the thing, you know? So I have like a bunch of videos that I want to do individual reviews for, but I just don't want to punch out a ton of individual reviews and not other videos. Anyway, so that's coming up probably next month, but I will do a full discussion on it. It's almost a 5-star, but I couldn't quite give it 5 stars because I just couldn't get quite as invested in the romances as I wanted to. The romances are not like the biggest part of the book, but they are a major subplot, and I just, like, I liked them, but I didn't love them, so like, that's kind of what held it back, honestly. But I'm a little shooketh by the end, and it's a cliffhanger, and I didn't know that it was a cliffhanger. So I'm glad that I waited this long to read it, because I put it off for quite some time, because otherwise I'd be not feeling great about having to wait. But I am starting The Phoenix Empress by Kate Arsenault Rivera today. That's the second book in The Tiger's Daughter. I realized as I was gonna start it that I'm feeling like a bit of a sense of dread about it because I read The Tiger's Daughter in 2017. I remember like the major points, but I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I've forgotten. And there's no recap online, and I didn't do a discussion video when I read the book originally because no one had read it and I didn't have anyone to like discuss it with. So I don't really know a ton of the things that happen. And granted, my discussion videos, I don't tend to cover like every single thing that happened in that kind of way anyway. So I don't know if a discussion would have even helped. But I'm like, am I gonna start this and have to reread The Tiger's Daughter? Which I am okay with doing because I liked it so much, but I just don't want to reread it. I have the whole trilogy to read at this point if I have to reread it, and I don't want to have to do that. I just want to be able to jump into this. I just don't know. So now I'm like, I feel myself like putting it off, and I'm like, no, you have to like try to read this to see if you need to reread The Tiger's Daughter, because if you need to, then you need to. And I would be able to count it for a Tome Topple book, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's over 500 pages. So yeah, but I'm just like, I don't want to have to deal with that. But then also, another reason I don't really want to reread is because I've heard from some people that were fans of the first book that they didn't like the second book. So I would hate to reread the first book to read the second book and then like DNF the second book. You know what I mean? So now I'm just like, ugh. But I just need to get to this. So I need to start this today and hope that she recaps enough of it that I am able to remember things that happened. Like I remember like the major things for the most part, but I don't know if I'm gonna remember all the character names. I don't know. I'm nervous, so I'm doing that. And then I did kind of restart the Rage of Dragons. Is that what it's called? I'll put a cover here by Jen Lyons on audiobook. I had started this on audiobook back in like December, and then couldn't really get into it. I mean, wanted to read something else on audio, so I did that. And I remember some things, but I did forget some things. So I picked it up because I was 3 hours into the audiobook. I picked up 3 hours in, but I was like, I don't think I know where we are in the plot. So I went back, but then there's a lot of just like, in this vlog. I went back and I remembered a lot of like that stuff as we went through. So I have it on like 3 speed, but I'm wondering if putting it on 3 speed, I'm not going to pick up enough. Basically, I'm just like, I'm having to relive some things potentially that I'm just like, I didn't want to. I just want to be able to jump in, but my memory, I feel like is bad lately. And by lately, I mean the last few years. So like, I'm not remembering enough, and I read so much that like, things get muddled, you know? So yeah, don't love that. So we'll see. I do have Rage of Dragons on a physical copy as well, so I could switch to that if I wanted to, but I don't think I'll get through 3 books, because then I also want to read Black Prism by Brent Weeks. I decided to put my whole stack up here in my room. So yeah, that's that. But other than reading stuff, I did yoga today. I'm gonna go for a walk because it's actually a nice day out, although it's like 50 degrees Fahrenheit instead of it being like warm. What the fuck? And I watered all my plants and fertilized them. Hi, it's Tuesday, or day 4 of the Readathon. Just wanted to update that I did start the Phoenix Empress, and I got 100 and almost 30 pages into it, which is almost 25%. I think it is almost exactly 25% of the book. So I was able to jump in and not have to reread The Tiger's Daughter, which is great. I think there is like a significant time jump in here. There's definitely like a time thing going on, unless I'm just not remembering The Tiger's Daughter that well timeline-wise. But I definitely feel like they're referencing things in here that I didn't see in The Tiger's Daughter. So I don't really feel left out. Like I definitely feel like there's a time jump. So the thing that is sort of about this though is that I feel like the things they're talking about that I didn't get to see, I wanted to have seen and I didn't really. The Tiger's Daughter had like flashbacks because one of the characters is almost like writing a letter of their love story to the other one. And this one carries on a similar theme, except for now it switches characters and the other character is doing that. There are chapter breaks in which you get the other character's perspective as well. It's written just kind of differently. So yeah, I definitely feel like The Tiger's Daughter showed you slightly more of the action, where this almost seems to be like talking about it in past tense, so I'm a little like, So we'll see. But it's really easy to read because for some reason, like, it's the way it's spaced. See if I can show you like a page. Is, can you kind of tell? It's spaced differently than a lot of adult books, so there's a lot of these like larger breaks in the page and stuff, which makes reading it way faster than your typical adult book that has like barely any space between the lines and like no page breaks and just like a lot of text. So even though this is a very large book, I feel like I'll get through it pretty quickly. So if I continue on my current pace, I'll finish this in 4 days, maybe less, so that by the weekend I'll be starting the Black Prism. So that would be fantastic. But I just did some yoga. It's a nicer day out today, so the dog and I are gonna take a walk. I mean, we took a walk yesterday, but it was cold yesterday. And really, I don't have any plans like most days. I just plan to read by the time it's nighttime, play some video games, edit a video. That's it. Hi, it's day 6 of the readathon, whispering because it's nighttime. There's a thunderstorm happening right now though, so that's delightful. And I just finished the Phoenix Empress, and this was a really weird reading experience because through most of it, I was like, I'm not hating this, and it's really easy to read because I showed you before with like how the text is, but there's so much like time that I feel like is missing. This world is so vast, but I feel like there's so many like action points that you're just like told and not really shown. And I kept saying like, if this doesn't turn around by the end, I probably won't read the last book even though I do own it. But then when I got to the end, I still consider this like a 3 stars, when I think the Tiger's Daughter was 5. But when I got to the end, I was like, I could read the last book. And I think it's because like, I almost get the impression that although this world is like really lush and really like, not quite complex, but like there's a lot going on in it, I kind of feel like the author is kind of like, this all doesn't matter. It's really just their love story, because it's these 2 warrior women in love. And it is a very like almost romantic book, but at the same time they're also very codependent. I don't know, like it's very interesting. This kind of book is something that I haven't really read, and I can't really compare it to anything else. I did mention in my Tiger's Daughter review that some people do find the rep in here kind of problematic is not quite the right term, but she kind of like combines a bunch of different cultures in a way that I think some people do find offensive, but I don't know enough to know. I think she uses like different names from, I think, Chinese and Japanese and possibly something else, but like again, I just don't know because I don't have enough knowledge of that culture at all to say. So if you are interested in these books, check those reviews out as well. But yeah, so I might continue. I'm kind of saying that at this point I will just keep reading all the rest of the books on my TBR. I do technically have the final book, but I'm not going to officially place it on my TBR, and then if I like want to read it, I will, like if I have the motivation to. I don't know, it's very intriguing. These characters are really interesting because they're basically like almost like reincarnated gods. I don't know, but like the plot doesn't really pay attention to it that much. I don't know. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling a lot about this one book. This is not a review, and I'm not going to be doing a full review for this book anyway. I'll talk about my wrap up. But tomorrow I'll be starting The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. So that'll be great. I've just been basically playing video games and alternating and reading. So basically I play video games for an hour and then I read. And I just do that like most of my evenings. So that's fun. I'm also reading Ruin of Kings. I feel like I've said the wrong title before in this vlog and called it something else, like Rage of Dragons or something, which is not what I'm reading. I'm reading Ruin of Kings. I'm enjoying the audiobook, and then sometimes I just don't feel like reading it. Maybe it's because this had demons in it and that had demons in it. It's just like a lot of like similar concepts at the same time. So now that I'm going to be reading something that's different with starting the Lightbringer series, then maybe that'll be helpful. I don't know. So that's the plan and the update. So yeah, nothing really new to report besides playing video games constantly and taking breaks to read. This is my whole life now. Hello, it's day 9 of the readathon, and I'm still a piece of garbage. I hope that's an indication to some of you that I've been watching way too much TikTok. I have read 180 pages of The Black Prism. Basically, all I've done for the last couple of days, well, yesterday and today, is lay around and watch TikTok. For some reason, it is soothing me in a way that no other social media really could, because the algorithm of TikTok is like legitimately good. So like my TikTok is going to be individualized to me and what I like, and a lot of my stuff is more like educational. Like there's a lot of jokes and stuff, there's a lot of cute animals, but there's a lot of witch talk, there's a lot of body positivity, there's a lot of mental health psychology stuff on there, there's a lot of queer women. It's a great space. So it's just my happy spot right now. And so it's hard for me to get the motivation to read, but mostly yesterday I watched TikTok for most of the day and laid around. And then at night I read a decent chunk. I think I did like a 4-hour reading sprint. Not like the whole time, but like I did sprints for 4 hours for Tome Topple on the Tome Topple Twitter. Today I watched Julie and Julia with Sarah Jane and the group because we do a rom-com chick flick movie watch every Sunday. So watched that all from my bed, got up, made my bed, ate, got back on my bed, watched the movie, then just scrolled on TikTok for an hour because I got the little message that was like, hey, you've been on this too long. And I'm like, yes, I have. So it's a really just like lazy rainy day that's also not helping me right now. So I think what I'm gonna do actually to like make myself get out of my room, because if I spend all day in my bed I'm not gonna be able to sleep, I think I'm gonna go take a drive and drive to somewhere with some green space and sit in my car and read until it gets dark, because it's like 6 o'clock right now. So by like 7:30 probably is when it'll be like dark. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, because I do want to read like 100 pages a day of the Black Prism to get through this before the end of the readathon, but it's a lot denser than the Phoenix Empress was. So I don't read the pages quite as fast. So it ends up being like 2 hours of reading I have to do a day, and sometimes my brain's like, but what if we didn't? Also, I have a plan update because I have some plants with some new leaves coming. I'm gonna show you that. And then tomorrow I think I'm gonna take a trip to a greenhouse, a very open greenhouse with lots of social distancing and everything. I don't want anyone to think that I am not constantly in fear about this, but your girl needs some more plants and I don't want to order them online. I want to get them locally if I can. So, but anyway, Monstera leaves. So this was my recently unfurled leaf that I think I put in this vlog. I think. Maybe it was the last vlog, but that was my newest leaf. But now we have this one coming in and you can see that there's like gonna be fenestrations and stuff. And then I have some ones down here, like this guy and this guy. So lots of leaves coming up with that one. And my philodendron micans, another leaf. That was a brand new leaf right there. And then this one's coming in. And this vine just keeps growing. And then, I don't know if you can see underneath here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There we go. Can you see it? Those little baby buds right there. Focus. Focus. There we go. And my Monstera Ansonii is definitely popping out some stuff. They're like, yeah, they're getting stuck in there. I should probably help it a bit. But yeah, these little bits. And then my Scindapsus, possibly my favorite plant right now, guys. I just love her. So that's a new leaf. That's a new leaf. This vine just keeps growing, and then these guys are getting bigger, so then they'll pop out some more leaves on these vines. She's gonna get big, I think, this summer. And then she's gonna get real big. All right, I'm off to go read in the car now. I've arrived. I drove to a local arboretum that I don't think like anyone knows about. It's really hard to find if you're not looking for it. There's like a teeny tiny sign right off of a major road that you can only get into one way. And it wasn't closed off or chained off like some of the parks around here have been, because a lot of them have closed down. I think because like no one knows about this. So I'm gonna park here under the trees. It's raining, so I'm like not gonna like get out and sit out here. Although when it's a nice day, I might come here with like a blanket and read during quarantine because it's pretty. Actually, fun fact, my dad, this is really sweet. My dad used to take me here when I was little. We used to have like little outings and stuff, and he would make me cover my eyes, because this is not very far from my house. He would make me cover my eyes and then only open them when we got back here, because you can't even tell where it is. And he'd be like, it's the enchanted forest. Isn't that adorable? So it's probably why I love forest so much, instilled from a young age. But there's like trees back there. And then this is like the actual like arboretum. That's a big boy, but you really can't tell on the camera. And then there's like trees all around. This area used to have some of the biggest trees, and they actually got ripped out by a storm years ago. And they had like some of the biggest trees in the state, and then they fell down, and it was very sad. So there used to be a lot more trees in this. But yeah, and then there's like, you know, out there. So very wooded and away from modern society. So I'm going to read here for a bit until the sun goes down, because that's when the park closes, and I don't know if someone's going to come around with the chain and chain me in here. I'd rather they didn't. Hello, it's day 12 of the readathon, a little bit after midnight actually, but as you guys know if you watch my vlogs, I don't consider it the next day until I've slept. I have my hair all pinned up and looking like a thumb because it's been raining, misting for the last few days, and just like humid, so my hair is just like forming curls. What does that mean? I'm just gonna be like frizzy and have some curls and just be a mess. So it's been put in timeout. I don't know if I've even updated since I started the Black Prism. Maybe once. So I finished just now the Black Prism by Brent Weeks. I was doing some reading sprints and stuff, so I was able to finish this up during reading sprints. And this was like not super enjoyable for like the first half. I don't know, I didn't hate it, but I just kind of like whatever. And then I did start liking it like towards the end for sure. I feel like it got better. The one thing that I found very alarming, and I put it in my Goodreads review, was how fat phobic this book is. Oh my god, like I will notice fat phobic language, but it typically isn't so pervasive throughout the story that it like pulls me out of the story. This book had so many scenes of either the main character like harassing himself and thinking poorly of himself because he's a fat character, or other people being horrible to him, but him also, like, it was like an internalized narrative throughout the story, which is understandable, but also was just like just beating over the head. And then there were other scenes where the author was describing other characters as like fat and just disgusting and huge chins and huge arms, and he called this woman like a whale and a leviathan, like all in one scene, so much so that I was like, this is so incredibly fat phobic in like a beating you over the head way. Like, I have never read a book that has had this much like fat phobic negative language about body size. Like, it was alarming. Also, because the main character is fat, I kind of feel like they're gonna go through like a magical transformation where like as he gets more powerful in his magic, he's gonna lose weight and it's gonna be like associated with success, and I just fucking hate everything about that. So if you have any issues with body image at all, like, be careful about this book, because I feel like the messages it sends are very like diet culture-y and gross. So yeah, that was not great. So I have some things that I don't like love about this story, and I'll talk about it in my review, because I was about to go into all of it and I'm like, I don't need to do that in a vlog. So I ended up liking this more towards the end, gave it 3 stars. I almost gave it 3.5 because I really did like the end and what the book was setting up for the rest of the series. But this book, like this first one, is such a foundational book. Like, I know so many starts of the series, especially fantasy, are setup books, but like this one was such a setup book, it felt like, which is fine because it's like a complicated world and whatever, but like it just took me a little bit longer to get attached to the story. But like what was done at the end and where these characters are placed and what they're like learning about each other is very interesting. So I feel like the rest of the series will be much more interesting. And also, you just kind of get dropped into the world in this first book, and it took me a while to like really get a grip on the magic system, and I'm even still kind of confused by it at times. So I feel like the rest of the series will be better, and I'm hoping that some of this writing stuff will get better, because I have heard from people that like really like as the series goes on, and not so much this first book, maybe not even like the second book. So we'll see. I'm not sure how many books are in this series. Doesn't even say on here. I think like 4 or 5, I want to say, maybe more. So yeah, I am kind of committed to this so far because there are a couple characters in here, a handful of characters in here that I really like. So yeah, I have hope, but this first book was just like the preliminary first book with some issues that I had. I am still reading Rune of Kings. I've had a few moments where like I haven't read it as much as I should. It's not, I'm reading it on audiobook, so I haven't read as much as I should for Tome Topple, because I've been listening to like podcasts and music, and I went on like a road trip to a greenhouse, which was a very spread out greenhouse during the day, during working hours, so that a lot of people were not there. I didn't get close to anybody, whatever, and it was like a 3-hour round trip, and I didn't end up finding anything, in the greenhouse was kind of shit, and it was a whole experience. Maybe I'll talk about it at some point. I plan on doing more videos on plants on my other channel, which is linked down below, so I might mention it there. But I did that, and I just listened to music and podcasts the whole time and not my book, even though I could have listened to my book and gotten like a really big chunk out of it. So yeah, I'm 32 chapters into that. I think it's a little less than half. Right now I'm kind of torn if I want to try reading the audiobook and the physical book of that to like get through it as fast as possible, maybe before the end of the month, or if I want to jump right into my next book, which is not a Tome Topple book. So I'm undecided about that. But I haven't really been updating here because I haven't really done much of anything. I think the last time I updated, I was telling you how I just felt like a blob. The only thing that I've done is gone to that greenhouse that one day, and that's basically it. I did do yoga today. It's been raining a lot, so I haven't been able to take a lot of walks. Like, I've just felt like a blob reading and watching TikTok, and that's it. I did buy a deck of Oracle cards, so I did that. That's been pretty much it. So I will probably update one more time if I decide to do anything else with Rune of Kings, just to give you an update on how far I do get into Rune of Kings. I don't think that I'll be finishing that though before the end of the readathon, and I'm most likely going to be moving on to another book that's not Tome Topple book. 2 books read, so I did reach the scholar category for the readathon, which is what I tend to shoot for. I don't usually tend to get more than 2 books read. It's hard to do that. For me, even having a ton of time to read like I did this readathon, I still wasn't going to do that, so I could have gotten close. I think if I wouldn't have had to finish Bane at the very beginning of the readathon, then I could have maybe gotten 3 read. Maybe, I don't know. Hi, it's the next day, so it is day 13 of the readathon, and this is me closing out the vlog because I'm about 40% almost of the way into the audiobook for Rune of Kings, so I'll probably finish that this month. I'm starting Realm of Ash, which is not a tome. Close, but not quite. So yeah, I would say that overall I had a pretty successful Tome Topple. I got 2 books off of my TBR that I really wanted to get through, and that I think I'll continue the full series now that I've had a little bit of time away from the Phoenix Empress. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but a couple of people commented on my review of that on Goodreads and said that the last book is worth it. So I have the last book, I'll probably read it, and then I do plan on continuing with the Lightbringer series, and I will be continuing with the Imperium trilogy, even though I didn't technically read that for Tome Topple, but it was a tome that I started. So yeah, overall had a really good Tome Topple. So comment down below, let me know how your Tome Topple went. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.